In this video, I am going to discuss Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice, Act 3, Scene 4. The scene takes place in the palace of Portia in one of her rooms in Belmont, and we see that already Bassanio, along with Gratiano Salernino, they have left for Venice because they know that the trial of Antonio is going to start very soon. What is the reaction of Portia? What is Portia planning to do along with Nerissa? We are going to see that in this particular scene. So we see Nerissa is present here along with Portia. Besides, there is Lorenzo and Jessica as well. So at the beginning, Lorenzo says, Madam, although I speak it in your presence, you have a noble and a true conceit of godlike amity, which appears most strongly in bearing thus the absence of your lord. But if you knew to whom you show this honor, how true a gentleman you send relief, how dear a lover of my lord your husband, I know you would be prouder of the work than customary bounty can enforce you. So Lorenzo is in all praise of Portia. He praises Portia because he has seen how Portia offered her wealth and also her time in order to save Bassanio's friend. He tells Portia that, Madam, you had been very noble and you had almost shown a godlike sympathy, a godlike love when you offered all your wealth to your husband so that he can save his friend from the clutches of an evil person. But if you had actually understood, if you had actually known the person for whom you have done all this, you would have really been proud of helping such a person. So he is side by side complimenting Antonio as well. He says that you are giving the money for the well being of a man like Antonio, who is also a very, very good human being. So, if you had actually known who Antonio is or how much Antonio had loved your husband, you would have done this not just out of your charity, not just out of your natural goodness, but you would have been proud of helping such a wonderful man like Antonio. So, customary bounty can enforce you. This means that Portia by nature is very generous in helping others, and she has a lot in her store. Being the princess, being the queen of her palace, she has enough to help others. But despite having enough wealth, despite being very rich, Portia has shown a great amount of happiness in helping a person who is a friend of her husband without knowing the identity of that person, without having any idea about who the person is. So Lorenzo says, if you actually had an idea who that person is, you would have done this thing with more gladness, with more pride. Portia replies, sorry, I never did repent for doing good, nor shall not now. So she says that, okay, it is true that I don't know who Antonio actually is, but I never step back from doing good for people. And after doing good to people, I never repent that, oh my god, I spent so much money in doing good. No, I never do that. And even today, I'm not going to do it. For in companions that do converse and waste the time together, whose souls do bear an equal yoke of love, there must be needs a like proportion of lineaments of manners and of spirit, which makes me think that this Antonio, being the bosom lover of my lord, must needs be like my lord. This is very important. Portia says that, see, the idea of friendship is that friendship always thrives between equals. So, if this Mr. Antonio is a friend, a very close friend, bosom friend means a friend which is close to the heart, So, if Antonio is a friend who is very close to the heart of Bassanio, then obviously this Antonio must be very similar to Bassanio in his appearance, in his manners, as well as in his heart. And if Antonio is like Bassanio, then obviously he has to be a good human being. So Portia knows that her husband, already they are married, so her husband Bassanio is a wonderful human being. And if Antonio is a genuine friend of Bassanio, a close friend of Bassanio, then definitely Antonio and Bassanio would have something in common. Because if you have friendship, if you have a bond of friendship, there must be something equal, there must be something similar in your personalities, in your hearts, that has made you friends, that has brought you close. So equal yoke of love, yoke here means the burden of love. Obviously we know that love cannot be a burden. So yoke is basically referring, if you have seen two bullocks plowing the field, this is a metaphor taken from the agricultural field. Two bullocks who plow the field, they are joined by a log of wood. Near the back of the two bullocks, the log of wood is tied, and then the plow is tied to that log of wood, which is called the yoke. So the yoke is basically the bond that ties those two bull, so that one bull doesn't go before another. They should walk in the equal distance, and they should walk in equal speed so as to plow the field properly. So yoke means also bond. So if there is such a bond between Antonio and Bassanio, it has to be that Bassanio and Antonio have similar tastes, have similar personalities, and have similar natures. So if I have helped somebody who is very similar to my husband, then how can I be sad of doing that? Obviously I am happy to help such a person like Mr. Antonio. If it be so, how little is the cost I have bestowed in purchasing the semblance of my soul from the state of hellish misery. So if this is true that Antonio is very similar to Bassanio, then I think I have not spent any great amount, very meager, very ordinary amount of money I have spent in order to free the duplicate copy of my husband, the duplicate of my soul from the hellish cruelty of Shylock. So Portia basically tries to say that Antonio and Bassanio are best friends, so they are very similar. And if I have released Antonio from the clutches of Shylock, I have saved him from the clutches of Shylock, then basically I have saved somebody almost like my husband. And so I am not at all sad, or I am not at all regretful in helping such a good person like Antonio. This comes too near the praising of myself, therefore no more of it. So enough of this discussion, because it's almost like I am sitting and praising myself, and Portia doesn't like to praise herself. She seems to be a very modest person. So that is why she says that enough of this discussion. Now I have some important things to tell. So listen, Lorenzo. She says, here other things, Lorenzo. I commit into your hands the husbandry and manage of my house. So Lorenzo, listen, I have some important things to tell you. I am giving the responsibility of looking after this house, the management of this palace, in your hands. Husbandry means the responsibility of looking after something. Until my lord's return. So up to Bassanio's return, you are going to be the lord of this house. Why? Because for mine own part, I have towards heaven breathed a secret vow to live in prayer and contemplation, only attended by Nerissa here until her husband and my lord's return. So I had basically made a secret promise to Lord that while my husband is busy at Venice saving her friend, I will relinquish, I will reject all luxuries of and comforts of the palatial life, and I will live a very simple life in a monastery, in praying to God to give success to my husband, and in thinking about the success of my husband, contemplating the success of my husband. And during that period, I will be attended only by Nerissa. So I shall stay in the monastery, which is located 2 miles away from my palace, along with Nerissa, till my husband returns. There is a monastery 2 miles off, and there will we abide. So we are going to stay in that monastery. I do desire you not to deny this imposition, the which my love and some necessity now lays upon you. So I request you, Lorenzo, to accept the responsibility that I have placed on your shoulder. Please don't deny me, because out of my love for you as a friend of my husband, I am giving you this responsibility, and also this is the need of the hour. Lorenzo says, Madam, with all my heart, I shall obey you in all fair commands. So Lorenzo gladly takes up the responsibility of looking after the house. Portia says, My people do already know my mind, and will acknowledge you and Jessica in place of Lord Bassanio and myself. So I have already given instructions to the servants, and they are now going to consider you and your wife Jessica as the lord and lady of the house in place of Bassanio and myself. And so farewell till we shall meet again. Lorenzo says, Fair thoughts and happy hours attend on you. So obviously, Portia is making a plan to travel all the way to Venice, but Lorenzo doesn't know it. So he doesn't wish her happy journey. He simply says that since you are going to stay in the monastery, I hope you have good time there and you have good thoughts there. Jessica says, I wish your ladyship all heart's content. Whatever you want, whatever is there in your heart, I wish that is fulfilled. That is what Jessica prays for Portia. Portia says, I thank you for your wish and am well pleased to wish it back on you. Fare you well, Jessica. So thank you for wishing me success. And Jessica, I also wish that whatever is there in your heart, may that be fulfilled as well. Saying this, they say their farewells. Jessica and Lorenzo leave the stage, and we see that another person had been standing there all this way along. That was Mr. Balthazar. So Balthazar is like a messenger, a servant who carries messages on behalf of Portia. So Portia has some instructions for Balthazar. She says, Now Balthazar, as I have ever found thee honest, true, so let me find thee still. So she, first of all, she establishes it in front of the audience that Balthazar is a very faithful and reliable person. So she says that I have always seen you, that you are very faithful and reliable. So at this instance also you should be faithful and reliable. Take this same letter and use thou all the endeavor of a man in speed to Padua. See, thou rendered this into my cousin's hand, Dr. Bellario. So she gives a letter to Balthazar and says that take it as fast as possible to Dr. Bellario, who lives in the city of Padua, and give it to Dr. Bellario, who is my cousin. And look what notes and garments he doth give thee. Bring them, I pray thee, with imagined speed. So he says that, she says that after giving this letter, you will see that Dr. Bellario also writes a letter. Bring that letter for me, and he will also give some costumes, some garments, and bring that garment also for me, but come back with the speed of imagination. You know, imagination travels faster than anything else in the world. So in a moment you can imagine that you are sitting from one corner of the world and you can travel to another part of the world by the power of your imagination. So you should also travel as fast as imagination travels. And where should you meet us? Unto the transect, to the common ferry which trades to Venice. Waste no time in words, and get thee gone. I shall be there before thee. So the harbor, the jetty from where the common ferry, the boats for Venice generally start, come and meet me there, and don't waste any time. Just go and come back soon, because I shall be waiting for you at that jetty to get the message from you and then take the boat. Balthazar says, I will go with all convenient speed. That means, Madam, I am ready to go with all possible speed I can. Saying this, Balthazar leaves the stage. Now Portia and Nerissa are alone on the stage, and Portia says, come on, Nerissa, I have work in hand that you yet know not of. We will see our husbands before they think of us. So Portia tells Nerissa that I have a plan in my mind, and I have not yet revealed that plan to you. But one thing only I can tell you, that we are going to see our husbands even before they could expect us. Nerissa is very clever. She says, shall they see us? Okay, I understand we are going to see our husband, but will they be able to see us? Now here we know the meaning, that Portia is going to disguise. So although they will be able to recognize their husbands, but their husbands won't be able to recognize Nerissa and Portia. Portia says, they shall, Nerissa, but in such a habit that they shall think we are accomplished with what we lack. With that we lack. So they will see us, Nerissa, but they will not be able to recognize us, because we will be dressed up in such a way that they will assume us we have something which we actually don't have. What is it? Their manly appearances, because both Nerissa and Portia are going to dress up as men. We will see that in Act 4, that both Portia and Nerissa are dressing up as male characters, and therefore they will look like young lawyers, young men, which they actually are not. I will hold thee any wager when we are both accoutred like young men. I will prove the prettier fellow of the two, and wear my dagger with a brave grace, and speak between the change of a man and boy with a reed voice, and turn two mincing steps into a manly stride, and speak of phrase like a fine bragging youth. So here she specifies some characteristics of young boys, how she is going to play the role of a young boy, what attributes she is going to follow. She is saying that, and while saying that, she also pokes a little bit of fun on how the men of her time used to behave. So she says that I will be dressed up, accoutred means dressed up like a young boy, and out of you and me, I will look the prettier fellow. Normally we use the word handsome for a man, but because she is a woman who is dressing up like a man, she will look more pretty than handsome as a boy. And obviously, like a young boy, he will carry a dagger, a small knife with him, and he will walk in a very brave manner, courageous manner. And he obviously, because after all it is a woman, it is not a male person, so the voice of Portia will not be absolutely the heavy voice of a man. So in order to pretend to be a boy, Portia is going to tell others that he is not very grown up. Basically, she is going to pretend that it is the transition age between boyhood and manhood. So basically, the adolescent period, the period between 14 and 18, between that time, most of the boys do not have that heavy manly voice. So here also, Portia is going to speak in such a voice that is neither very manly nor very girlish. So it will be a voice of transition. And also, he will walk, Portia will walk, I am referring to Portia as he here, because Portia is going to disguise as a man. So Portia will walk with manly appearance, not like a woman, not with femininity, but with a little bit of masculinity in her ways. And like any other boy who loves to describe how he fought wars or how he fought duels with other boys and defeated other boys in fighting, Portia is also going to boast all those things in front of other men, so that everyone believes that this is truly a bragging youth. Bragging means boasting. who loves to boast. And also, Portia is going to tell some lies. See here. And tell quaint lies how honorable ladies sought my love, which I denying, they fell sick and died. I could not do withal, then I will repent and wish for all that I had not killed them. So Portia is going to pretend like many young boys do, saying that I had a number of young women who fell deeply in my love, but because I rejected them, those women wasted away and they died. They were so upset at my rejection that they died. And then I will pretend that I was extremely sad that I killed so many women just by my rejection. So these are the points she is using to criticize, or rather to poke fun at the behavior of the young boys of her time. They speak lies, they love to boast about their achievements, sometimes those achievements which are fictional, not real, and they walk in a peculiar way, they speak in a peculiar way. All these things she is going to imitate in order to pretend in front of others that she is a young boy. And 20 of these punny lies, punny means little, I will tell, that men shall swear I have discontinued school above a 12-month. So these type of lies I will tell in front of people, so that they will assume that I have just come out of school. I have just completed my school and I am about to enter the university. So that phase, as I said, 18-19 years. I have within my mind 1,000 raw tricks that these bragging jacks which I will practice. So I have many such ideas that I have stored in my mind to imitate the personality of these boasting young boys. Bragging jack means boasting young boys, boastful young boys, which she is going to use. Nerissa questions, why shall we turn to men? So Portia replies, fie, what are questions that, if thou wert near a lewd interpreter. But so she says that, what type of question is that? You could have easily understood why we are going to change into the appearance of a man. But come, I will tell tell thee all my whole devices when I am in my coach, which stays for us at the park gate, and therefore haste away, for we must measure 20 miles today. So she says that, Nerissa, I don't have time to explain all these details right now to you, so I would rather prefer to tell you all these stories a little later. When we are settled in the coach, I can tell you all these stories. We will have enough time to have discussions about it. But as of now, let's go and enter into the coach, which is waiting for us just outside the gate, because we need to travel at least 20 miles today in order to reach that area where Balthazar is going to meet us by today. So that's all for this scene. Thank you.